I keep a picture, Johnny, of week over week, and I'm going to take a look at it here once the cameras go live. But I do not remember seeing that many small homes, less homes on the market. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Real Talks with Keith Smith. If you're wondering why Jerry isn't calling you in, because he's in the middle of a board meeting, he left us alone, so watch out. But my guest today is Johnny Ornelas, brother from another mother, and we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of great restaurants that he is part of and owns, and one that he's getting ready to bring live to everybody, I think in January, but we'll let Johnny tell us that. And also want to chat a little bit about Thanksgiving traditions. So once Jerry gets here and up and loaded and be able to watch the feed, if you got a Thanksgiving tradition to share, why don't you share it in the feed, and we'll talk a little bit about it. We'll talk about the Smith/Proci, which is my mother is Italian and my father is Scotch-Irish, so that's going to tell you a lot about how much fun Thanksgivings are. But Johnny, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks.
So we were talking in the run-up. You just came back from California.
Just came back from Cali, yeah. We took a little, I took a little adventuring out to California.
You brought River with you, didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't get a call for bail money, so I guess it went okay.
I had a little, safety.
Yeah, a little
stash hidden back. I went to Cali, and River caught up with me up there, and I actually did a lot of running around the first 2 days. Went into Superior equipment company there, and they walked me through the whole factory setup for tortilla machines and all that stuff. So it was good.
But you also were doing some menu kind of
We're doing
tasting.
some menu. Yeah, we're looking into, like we've said before, we're trying to bring some of the Cali vibe into Charlottesville. A little bit of home for me into home. We came back with some good ideas. They're doing a lot of stuff with drinks down there that we haven't seen over here. Unique things, not strange, unique.
All right, I'm going to give it a shot. Mexicali?
Mexicali.
I'm going to write this down. Mexicali.
There you go.
So talk about the menu. What are you thinking you're going to do a little bit different there that we haven't seen in Charlottesville? Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. There's very unique things. Jackfruit is one of those things that I'm starting to experiment with.
Well, what's that now?
Jackfruit.
I'm sorry. I may not be the only person that doesn't know that. On the set, I may be the only person that knows that.
So it's a fruit.
Obviously.
It's a prickly, large, thorny fruit, and
it's called a jackfruit.
Jackfruit, and they use it a lot. I was introduced to it in Mexico, and in the tropical areas, and it's one of those interesting fruits that you taste it raw, and it's like you get all these flavors out of it. I had looked at it before, and I ran into it there, and we're going to be doing some interesting things, some vegetarian options with jackfruit. So into like the tacos and different items there too.
So when we last spoke, you were in the middle of the renovation. So let's talk about that.
I am in the middle of renovation.
So how are we doing? What's our next step? And when are we going to open up, you think?
So I'm in the middle of the renovations, just like with everything else right now. Contractors getting them in. They're telling me December, January. So I basically wiped out my garage and threw all my tools in the truck, and I'm doing the renos. So we are pretty close at the front of the house. We're still looking into kitchen. Is not a whole lot that needs to be done. That's pretty much set up, fortunately.
How many beer taps are you going to keep?
We are looking anywhere between 10 and 12. So we're going to have 3 different stations in the bar. There's going to be 3 different bartenders. So each bartender is going to have their dedicated lines. That way we can try to keep flow moving in the bar area. And we're looking, I'm still pushing to try to, if we can do a soft opening before the end of the year.
Ooh.
And maybe
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. And, maybe do a New Year's bash for everybody,
All right. I'm in. I'm in.
So that's what we're hoping for, and that's what we're moving for.
I remember when we helped you open up El Mariachi in Zion's Crossroads, and it was funny. I was thinking of you and Stephen on Saturday. We watched our granddaughter over on Saturday, and we did our swap at Zion's Crossroads. Uh-huh. And, it was late in the evening, whatever, but I drove by your restaurant, and it was slammed.
They stay slammed on the weekends.
So talk about that. Talk about why you think that was so successful out there.
Because
everybody was questioning us doing this.
Yeah, Zion's Crossroads, it's growing. It's been growing, and there's that need as well. You got people traveling into Charlottesville from Zion's Crossroads, people driving into Zion's Crossroads for a certain time. I mean, the distribution center's there. There's there's the lumber yard back there, and there's multiple things.
Hotels opening up.
Hotels opening up. There's a new hotel opening up right across the street from us. Mm-hmm. So it was something we had set, especially my father. He had set his eyes on it for a long time. And it's just the need out there for a full-service restaurant, I think, is the biggest thing. They're still pushing, fast food out there. I think I've seen the Chick-fil-A food trailer out at the Lowe's parking lot out there.
Did you see that also? It's funny. The same time that we were working on doing El Mariachi out there, I reached out to Chick-fil-A because there was a parcel nearby there that I was helping somebody sell, and they just didn't see the numbers. It's interesting that they got a food
I think they're doing their investigation.
Yeah.
I think they're putting in. I looked into Chick-fil-A for a while, and they do about a 2 to 3 year investigation in the area, and I think that's what they're doing now. They've had the food trailer out there every day, I think, at the Lowe's parking lot.
I did not know that.
But no, I mean it's busy out there. You get a lot of people on the weekend that are no longer coming into town, so they're just staying out there. And the holidays are horrible out there because
it was 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday, and I needed to fuel up at Sheets, and I couldn't find a spot. And that was, so I'm very happy for you guys. I think you're working your tails off down there, but congratulations on doing it. What is this, year number 3?
Yeah, this is year number 3.
Wow,
we just turned into year number 3.
So we're going to move over to Thanksgiving a little bit, and when Jerry gets here, we'll kind of talk a little bit about this craziness that I'm looking at here in the real estate market at the moment. But so what is a traditional Thanksgiving meal or setup in your house? Mine is very different. I'm curious.
Yeah, ours is not. It's more non-traditional.
Okay, got it.
We didn't start with Thanksgiving until we got here to Virginia.
Really?
Honestly, out in California, it was Christmas, and that was about it. Over here, with the change of environment and everybody, Charlottesville is a little bit more close, I guess, together as opposed to California. That's when we're like, okay, well, so we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. But I mean, to us, I think we've done turkey once.
Really? So what is it? What do you normally have?
I mean, you go from having tamales to have, our first years that we did it was just like, okay, it's a day off. Everybody
family get
something.
Together. But that's kind of a family thing.
But everybody get together and cook something.
But that's like a Sunday for you.
Yeah.
That's really, it is with my family, right?
Yeah. I mean, it used to be what Sundays used to be for us, So, now we're so busy that,
So your family here, when you get together on a Sunday get together, how many people is it?
It used to be more. Everybody's busy now with the restaurants.
Oh.
So before, I mean, holidays, yeah. Holidays,
yeah.
It used to be above 50 people at the house.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what it used to be. And it used to be a carry. I mean, you started for Thanksgiving, you started in the morning and you were done like at 2 a.m., you know. And then the next morning you're reheating before everybody goes off to work. So in Christmas, let's not even start there. That's the whole Christmas.
Well, that's a couple of days, right? So do you celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Christmas Eve.
There you go.
Into Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We used to do the whole stay up till midnight and then presents, and now we've kind of changed a little bit. But Thanksgiving is now it's kind of short and sweet because it's just like we know the next day we have to go to work.
That's right. You only get one day off.
You only get one day, so it's kind of like sleep in, make something to eat. Now we've downsized a little bit, especially after COVID, and you know, kind of everybody starts kind of doing their own thing as well. So you know, extended family. So now it's just us, you know, my brothers and our family members there. So
but that's big enough as it is. That's 25 people, I bet you.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
So I have 13 nieces and nephews, plus I'm the oldest of 5, right? So I have significant others and all this kind of great stuff. So our normal just get together on a Sunday. We used to do it every Sunday. Now we do it once a month because the same thing. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got different lives. But we're 25. That's on a light Sunday, and we rotate it from house to house because we're blessed. Everybody's around us to go ahead and do that. But because I'm half Irish and half Italian.
Okay.
So we have lasagna every Thanksgiving. So we have either fried turkey and baked turkey, and then we have lasagna. So there's usually a split in half. There's the Italian side that has this Italian setup, which is usually like a lasagna, setup on it, and then on Thanksgiving it's the traditional whatever, turkey and all that stuffing and all that filling in.
Yeah, we don't. Like I said, we've had turkey maybe once, and I don't think it got eaten.
Pretty hard to put that in a taco, right?
Yeah. Well, you got so many other things, the salsas, the carnitas, tamales, and it's just like you look at the turkey and you're like, yeah, I might get a piece later on.
So I moved here in 87. You came here in 88.
Yep.
So what do you really love about this area? I know this is businesses here in Formia, but Jerry and I have been talking about this forever. There's people coming to the area. They've always been coming to the area. The area median income is pretty high. It's $123,000, and we maybe get into that a little bit later today, but on the show. But what is it that you love most about this area that makes you want to stay here? And let's face it, you've invested your whole lives in 2 restaurants in here, one out in Zion's Crossroads and one here on downtown right next to the flats over there. So what's driving you to do that, my friend?
First, family drove us here because of the Guadalajara empire that they created here in Charlottesville. And I think it's just the way Charlottesville received us. It's
I'll talk
as
about
far
that.
as business-wise. It was it was hard. And as far as coming from California and, Charlottesville wasn't that, I would say it was diverse, but it wasn't ready for some of the diversity that was coming in. I had a German ESOL teacher teaching me English.
Let me get this straight. You had a German? It wasn't my wife, was it?
No.
Okay, you had a German-speaking person trying to teach you how to speak English.
Yeah.
Is that person around still? Maybe she can help me, or he can help me.
Mr. Hein.
Oh yeah, we don't want to go there.
I can't remember what it was.
We don't want to go there.
But yeah, it was school system was rough on me. I learned. I had to learn English very quickly because California I went to Spanish-speaking schools.
So how old were you when you moved here?
12. So it was a tough task, and then we didn't know the area as well, so we moved. Some of the areas we moved into weren't the nicest either for the first couple of years until we could establish here in Charlottesville, but. It's one of those places. It's odd because you can't really explain Charlottesville. It's like you come here,
That's
and
funny
you
should say that.
You can't leave. You want to leave,
But you can't.
You can't, and you don't. And then if you do end up leaving, you end up coming back.
It's funny. We do a fair amount of traveling,
Yeah.
Yonna and I. And when you tell people where you're from, and they ask you to explain Charlotte, everybody's heard about Charlottesville, but you try to explain it. It's a very difficult thing to explain.
It is difficult. It is very difficult.
So how do you explain it?
I just told you I couldn't. No, I mean, there's so many.
Well, we got to.
There's so many things, with the university and the small town vibe, and then you have all these breweries and vineyards, and it seems like there's always something that you can do. Me and my wife, we've looked at when we go to like larger cities like Richmond, DC, and now that I went to LA was just like a thing. I showed up and it was like I told my wife, I was driving around, I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I don't feel like I'm lost. There's not that thing that you go places. Sometimes you have the GPS on and you're constantly driving. You're just like, where am I going?
You felt accepted.
Yeah.
Right. But you also felt accepted here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Jerry and I have been talking about this, and I'd love it from your perspective on it. So from 2020 until now, so year 2020, year 2021, the area median income was flat. But from those 2 years to now, there was a 30% increase in the area median income. And and thank you for doing this. You're sponsoring a once a month show that we're going to be focusing on the Hispanic home buyer and the Hispanic community. But talk about it from your perspective, that jump up, from your community's perspective, from that jump up, how is that impacting the folks in your community?
It's impacting in a way, I think that they're having to adjust, but in the community, in the Latino community, I feel like they have always struggled and known how to survive.
Yeah.
So, and especially with housing and how a lot of families live together, and I think it has affected them, but not as much as it has other people, where they're not used to collaborating with each other and making things function.
So historically, that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Folks would team up together.
Yeah,
I remember having conversations with my Italian side of the family. That's what they did when they first came to this country.
Yeah.
Because
when we started with Quads, it was our family, and we had about 4 other people living with us. So if there's a change where, if there was a change in money, they could adjust because there's extra people at home.
let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend.
Absolutely. It's good to see you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I apologize to everyone that's watching the program right now. I had a board meeting today that ran long.
Well, that never happens.
It's great to be with you guys. Johnny, it's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah.
Same, Keith, with you.
Yeah, same here, my friend. I hope we did a decent enough job to kind of keep the conversation going. But we kind of kicked it off on welcoming Johnny and talking a little bit about his restaurants and some family traditions. And then I was trying to dive into some data because this is the first time I've ever seen in the last 7 days only 25 homes come on the market.
Yeah, limited inventory right now. We're seeing that the days on market are getting longer, but I would imagine we're celebrating Mexicali.
We are.
And the progress that you're making on the old World of Beer location. I know that I've been talking about your restaurant with our friends and our family and our platform and following, and Johnny, the chatter's been so positive.
It's one of those things, walking around, I've got a bunch of friends asking already. It's like, when's it? We even talked to a few bartenders in Cali. They might stop by at some point.
What's the grand opening? I'm sure Keith asked you.
We already went through this.
Yeah, so we're hoping to do a soft opening maybe last week of December.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's where we're plugging along.
Will we be invited?
Do you need an invite? Yeah, do you need an invite?
No, I've never needed an invite before. Just showed up. I remember Jerry and I attending the El Mariachi grand opening, and Jerry and I sat outside for a cocktail. And I was, up until that point, I was a little nervous, right? I must
You were
admit.
nervous?
I was a little nervous, right? Because this was cutting edge, for Zion's Crossroad, because there was not a sit-down meal up there. And I thank you for believing in me to help you through the process. But after my first margarita, I looked around and went, whew, we got
You just
this
needed
one.
the margarita in you.
I needed the margarita in.
How's labor? Is labor getting any easier out there, Johnny?
No, I'm doing all the labor at Mexicali. So that's we were just discussing that. Getting contractors in is.
Well, I meant for the restaurant, staffing.
Staffing, I think we might be okay. It's there's people that when there's something new and there's
They wanna work there.
I'm like I said, I'm very honored to have River along with me. We were up in Cali. I got to know a little bit more about him, and he has his following as well. So I think
We got to bring him on, but we're going to have a little talk with him before he comes.
How's River doing?
He's doing good.
Yeah.
He's doing really well. He was like I was telling him. We went around. Like I was telling Keith, we went around looking at a lot of.
Him's okay. Him's okay.
A lot of artwork, street artwork,
In California?
things in California.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Walking around a lot of different bars that were unique, and we're trying to drag that some into Mexicali.
Nice.
Trying to bring that vibe in.
So we're keeping the stage.
Yes,
So
we're
let's
keeping
talk-
both stages.
Both stages.
Outside
You got an
and
indoor
inside.
and an indoor. So talk about that. What's the game plan for that?
We're trying to have, like we said, we're trying to do a lot of local stuff. So if we can get a lot of local music coming in, I'm not going to be picky. We can get Keith over here some karaoke, man.
Keep doing karaoke. That sounds awesome.
No.
Get a couple shots of mezcal in him.
That we should retune our bet to have it that whoever loses it, the one that we made the other day, has to show up and play a little, sing a little karaoke. Trust me, nobody ever wants to see. We want your business to be successful, Johnny. You don't want Smith singing there.
No, but yeah, we want to keep some local musicians in the area. Get them moving along. We know that after COVID, that's been a hard plug-in for a lot of them, but get some exposure as well for us there.
But you don't have that at El Mariachi, right?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not set up. With the sections there at Mariachi, it's kind of hard. Mexicali, it's a lot more open.
Mm-hmm.
We have the space is open, and then also we have the large doors, that accordion doors that connect the patio to the dining area as well. So
That's
I
like
think
1,800 square feet at patio, right?
1,800 square feet in patio, and then another 1,800 square feet inside. So we're planning on doing some maybe once a month events for the community in the patio. Bringing in some of these local businesses that want to come out and showcase their product as well there in the patio, and have some music, have a little mini market or something there in the patio.
So I'm going to change gears a little bit on you. How can I, from your perspective, as a real estate professional, best help your community buy a home?
That's a tough one. That is a very tough one,
Speak from the
because the first thing is getting in the door. That's the biggest thing, and I think it starts with educating the Latino community. Some of these we try to educate to a certain point, but there's some things that don't quite sink in. Trust. The whole setting. When me and my wife first bought our home, we went through Piedmont Housing.
Yeah, Piedmont Housing Laws.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we sat down, and walking out of there with your head down because they're telling you you're not ready for it because we weren't educated on it.
How did that? I'm part of that. How did that process go? Did you walk away feeling like you had a path, or not?
We did walk away feeling we had a path, but it was just disappointing that you work hard to get something, and then you realize you're not even there yet. It took us about a year to try to, okay, we need to change these things around, and then we can come back and revisit the situation. So the educational part of it is, I think, the big key in trying to help the Latino community.
So I'm looking at a
into the market.
report from 2022, the end of 2022, that Hispanic ownership rose to a rate of 48.86%. So the Hispanic purchaser is and it's interesting, if you read the article, it talks about how it navigates the affordability crisis that we're doing at the moment. And a lot of it has to do with folks living together, pooling up their money, but maybe not understanding 100% what's available to them, as far as options go. So how can we best communicate?
I think what it brings down to, I think it's just going to, some of these communities and some of these events that, I went to, I got my other COVID shot the other day, and I went down to Southwood. And they were doing their community clinic there. And I think it's tag teaming maybe with some of those events that they're doing to be able to talk to them and converse with them, and maybe not jump in and say, hey, do you want to buy a house? But,
of course.
Hey, are you interested in? And we can try to navigate you. The hard thing sometimes though with Latinos is you can say that, but then getting their trust to trust you that you're not trying to snag them into something else.
So it's very interesting because that's very similar. The similar topic we're talking about is very similar with first-time home buyers, pretty much across the board. I can see where the Hispanic buyer is definitively more cautious, for lack of a better term. But really, in my line of work, if you're first time I'm meeting you, and if I start talking about buying a house, then I'm not doing my job, right? I need to start discussing, what's in your life, right? The who, what, when, and where, and build a relationship with you and a trust in you. I mean, it's kind of like what we've done, right?
Yeah.
Over time. But, let's face.
And I think some of the, a lot of people fear, I've got a lot of employees and everything that don't have bank accounts.
Wow.
Because they don't
trust,
And they listen. The thing with the Latino community too, a lot of times they listen to what's happening around and don't get the correct information about why it's happening. And then it's just like, I'll just stay away from that. I'll leave it alone. And I've got, I've tried to help some of my employees to, get an account, get a credit card, and get started. And it takes a while. Even though, I've worked with some of these employees 5+ years, even then it takes a while for them to kind of, okay, this is what I need to do.
So
this is the path that I need to go into.
And thank you for being here, and thank you for doing this, because this is something that I've been trying to figure out what to do and how to help. And we've got these skills, but I don't know how to translate it from here to help your community. Would something like I don't want to call it a first-time home buyer, but with some sort of seminar at some location, would people show up to that?
Honestly, I think you need to start hitting the church.
Oh.
That's a great idea.
I mean,
just don't stand next to me, though. Lightning bolt might hit me.
That's a great idea, Johnny.
Churches, because a lot of the community on the weekends, that's where they're at. And the trust is already there, in a way. So getting to know people there and getting to be a part of their events, that would be a way to create this little forum just to say, hey, if you're ever looking to purchase a house, this is kind of what you need.
I think the Hispanic community gets it. When you're almost at 50% of homeowners rate that rise on, they understand the value of ownership. They just don't have the path.
They don't have the path, and I would be interested to know what percentage of that is owner lending?
Seller finance? Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of family members here, cousins and stuff like that. And I asked Virgil last time what the path would be, but I think it was more a question for Ricardo, was how to get them away from that, because the seller finance, I honestly don't know how that functions. Sounds interesting, but it's also easier. It's easier.
We can surely talk about that. Jerry's done enough of them. I've done enough of them on that end of it. But it's probably back to this trust thing, right? Because more than likely the ones that they're doing in seller financing is probably other folks within their community.
The Latino community is a little weird, and I'll say that, and I'll probably catch heat for it. But if you came to me and offered me a house, I would probably get it from you than from the bank.
Explain that.
Because of trust.
The trust.
Yeah.
The trust. I mean, especially from the banks in Mexico, Salvador, Honduras, and all that. You go to a bank there, and it's just like, there's only one person walking in the door. It's only a person that's going to do the operation that they're going to do, whether it's cash, check, deposit, pay a bill, or whatever. So it's very strict. And, I've said it before, even immigration, I said it before. I went to take my mother-in-law. They wouldn't let me in the door. And as soon as she got in the door, basically they already told her, hey, these documents are false. You're denied. You're gone. That's the same way banks operate down there.
It's not just there. It's also in Europe, because Yonna and I bought and sold a lot of property in Europe for her family. It's very similar to the same thing. It's mostly cash. It's controlled by the banks. There isn't a traditional, like we have here, real estate end of it. We go down to St. Martin a couple of times a year. Half the island is Dutch, which functions as the same as the United States. Same type of banking system. On the French side, it's very similar. When you talk to the local French Creoles, the local French folks over there, they don't go to banks for that. They either directly connect with the seller.
Correct.
Getting title over there is a little bit complicated, but that's interesting.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know, from a seller finance, it's probably less paperwork, less things involved, and also, they're not used to that process. If they're not getting checking accounts, so they're not used to a banking process here in the U.S. We're used to what is used to in Mexico or whatever, how you do those procedures. But here, if they've never navigated in there, they don't have that trust with the banks. So if somebody just pops in, I think I went to a restaurant the other day, and they asked me if I knew anybody looking to buy houses, because they're out in Ruckersville area, and they're like, yeah, well, we've got houses if you know anybody. So it's like at a restaurant, you're able to buy a house.
Wow.
Through seller
because
finance.
it's a trust thing.
Because it's a trust thing.
So a quick little education on the seller financing. The struggle with that is there's not typically a lot of them, because the seller has to more than likely own it outright, or have.
It sounds like you're talking about they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the path on that is actually pretty simple. On that end of it, it's one, you have to get together with somebody really good, like Bill Tucker, one of our fine sponsors of the show. On that end of it, they create, or a real estate agent. We kind of walk you through the process on it. We create loan documents that generally is a substantial down payment. The interest rate's generally a little bit higher than what's you can get on the open market.
Yeah.
Not always, but typically.
Not always. Yeah.
It's typically a little higher on that end of it. It's typically a little shorter, right? It's not a 30-year mortgage, and that's the other thing. And I don't know about Mexico, but I know in Europe, 30-year mortgages they don't exist.
Okay.
They're generally 10-year or 15-year on the lease side. They're now talking about 40-year stuff here, which is
bananas.
insane.
Yeah. I'm not too sure in Mexico what the
Well,
the
it's generally
mortgages
much shorter.
But I
on
would,
that stuff.
What did you, this process, how does it compare to Mariachi or Guadalajara, you opening Mexicali? Have you learned so much from these other openings?
You do. You take in a lot of information.
Yeah.
Guadalajara, I saw it through a teenager's perspective. I just basically saw my parents working their butts off trying to get these places open. Especially more, I recall more Greenbrier when we opened it, because I was more hands-on that one at the time. And then Mariachi, that was just kind of a compilation of my brother and I of what we had learned, what we had taken in. It was still different. It was still hard. But I feel like Mexicali, it's still hard. It's more physical hard than than mental, but it's a little bit easier. It's still the same stress level, though. It's still the same worry. If you always worry about new businesses, about how they're going to do, but you kind of just have to throw that in the back burner and not let that ride you over. Yep.
You guys are going to do great in that
He's
spot.
going to crush it. He's going to crush it.
I mean, you've got.
Since we put the store together on I Love CVille, he and I probably had 50, 60 people alone just sending us DMs and asking what's going on. And I'd be like, they're going to open soon. I mean, they're putting things together. I mean, that's minimum. And I'm sure you've gotten the feedback.
I've gotten feedback here in town, especially, I don't know why, but this week.
Yeah,
like after
great.
I came back from California.
Well, it's because we send the story we do. We publish, we take.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. The last 20 stories we do, we constantly put in a publication circle.
Yeah.
So it stays live for 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Plus, they know it's you.
yeah, that's me. And
It's amazing, Johnny. We wish you the best of luck, man.
Well, thank you.
I think he's going to crush it.
So we're back on Thanksgiving. Because I'm now trying to figure out this Ornelas Thanksgiving meal. So turkey's not so much hot.
Turkey's not hot.
Not
Turkey's
hot on
not
it.
hot.
So talk about what does the spread look like?
My dad is very faithful to doing some ribs. So he usually does more of a spice rib.
Smoke them or?
No, just in the on the grill. Covers them up and grills them up, and then you have your salsas and your tortillas and your. We do have, now with the younger kids, we do have our mac and cheese.
Yeah,
and
Americanized.
mashed potatoes, But that's kind of as far as, chicken tenders for the ones that don't eat, especially like my youngest daughter. That's all she eats is chicken tenders.
So your parents, right, and it's funny you should say that you brought up this Americanized. So when we have conversations with my family that came from Italy or from Ireland, looking at our kids and our grandkids, the Americanization of it, how does that conversation go? Are they happy about it? Are they not?
No, I mean, after, it wasn't so much a huge change. I guess it's been a slow change over the years, for my parents. So, being here, working in Charlottesville, and then I kind of didn't really pick up a lot of on the Americanized vibe because I grew up in California, and I grew up with them, I guess, used to their struggles and where they were working because they worked in farms and agricultural areas doing pecans, almonds, and all that, bell peppers and all that. So, but with my younger brothers, it kind of started to sink in a little bit. They were kind of, my youngest brother was 2 years old, I think, when we moved here, Steven. So,
How old Steven?
Steve is, you're going to put me on a hot spot now.
Oh, no, no, don't do that.
He's 36.
Okay.
36, yeah. So they kind of, we kept our culture pretty strong. So they kind of mellowed into it. And now, of course, our kids, we're still kind of trying to hold it strong. We don't stress out too much on it. But you do get more of the American kind of.
That's the reason I bring that up is Yonna is a naturalized citizen. And believe me, it took us almost 20 years for her to become a naturalized citizen. Folks who've never gone through that do not understand how difficult that is. But it was very important to Yonna and I that the kids never lost their Austrian heritage, and so much so they speak German, and we used to send them back there to go ahead and spend time with the family. And there's certain traditions, we're talking about it, and it's a Christmas tradition, and we'll just get this out. And Lenny freaks out. My father freaks out. Pop. So in Europe, Germanic countries, they put actual candles on trees.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's bananas. That sounds like a fire waiting to happen.
and this is a thing, and it happens. And the funny thing is, our oldest daughter and our youngest daughter are following that tradition. We're all going to have, fire extinguishers and all that stuff. But Johnny, I just wanted to kind of Jerry and I was going to wrap up the second half of the show. I just wanted to kind of bring you in and thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for what you're sponsoring the show, and also thank you for helping your community. This whole church thing really got my head spinning, and I think what I'd like to do is offline. If you can go ahead and give me a list of churches, we'll bring Ricardo in there, because they surely don't want to hear from me.
maybe they do. Yeah. You'd be surprised.
Robert Mosby giving you props. Johan Torres, Ellie Lopez, Troy Robinson, Juan Sarmiento says he can't wait for you to open. I mean, so many comments on the feed about this. Johnny, you are beloved in this community.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I love the community too.
Juan says, tell Johnny thank you for bringing Latino owners to the forefront of Charlottesville. Troy Robinson, who's in the food game, says CVille is 5 different ecosystems.
Yep.
Is what he says right there.
5 different ecosystems.
Yeah, I like that. Troy, we got to get you on the show one day.
Johnny, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny
Thank you,
Ornelas,
guys.
guys.
We're going to talk about the fact that we got no houses to buy.
Huh? That's good.
Mexicali. We cannot wait for Mexicali to open, guys, in the old world of beer location. Judah, if you go to the studio camera and then a 2-shot, he was absolutely fantastic. Keith Smith, inventory even tighter, my friend.
It is even tight. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I just did some quick math. I'm sorry, but I've got this whole church thing running through my head, because I really want to figure out how we can help the Latino or the Hispanic community. I just looked at this same week last year, we're 30% off. Last week we had 64 houses that came on the market. We've got 25 that are on now. So look, I think the market is in this timeout phase. I will tell you though, Jerry, my phone's been ringing off the hook. So our activity of buyers being interested in finding out the market and what's going on in the market is upticked. I don't know if any other real estate agents that are watching out there are seeing that, but we're upticking big time. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
So that's unique. That's something we haven't seen in the last couple of weeks, and the conversation's generally wrapped around, is this a good time to buy? So I don't know what that is. I think maybe it's this fact that the mortgage rate's been stabilized a little bit. It hasn't jumped up. It hasn't gone down much over the last few days that it did about this time last week. So this seems to be a pent up demand of buyers. But when I'm looking at 25 houses coming on, this inventory is just getting worse and worse.
So more buyers, less homes.
Considerably more buyers, considerably less homes on it. We were looking at numbers from 2020 to now that we're about 63% down in volume. I'll bet you when we run the end of November's numbers, I think that percentage is going to be higher when we add this extra month. I've been looking at this religiously for 3 years. I don't ever see I've never seen 25 homes come on the market. Maybe somebody on there can chime in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen in the last 7 days that low.
Do you expect more after Christmas, though? Maybe it's the holiday lag right there.
And that's literally since a week, we've been talking to 12 new buyers.
Wow.
And it's the same thing, very, very diverse buyer profile.
Okay.
Right?
First-time homers?
Well, it's the 2 markets we've been talking about for a while.
Uh-huh.
It's me,
Yep.
ancient,
Okay.
122 years old,
Yep.
and Z and millennials. The Zs are coming in a strong way on it. But and to the conversation we've had with Johnny, and I'm so thankful that he spent the first part of the show with me and helped me move the show along. So thank you to Johnny. But you're seeing the multi-generational conversation increase. So it's interesting. The millennial buyers that we're talking, it's pretty much split down the middle. About 12. It's about a dozen. Half are boomers and half are, let's say, Gen Zs and millennials. Both of them are always also having the same conversation about, okay, what does it look like if we ask mom and dad to move in with us? Right. Or what does it look like if we ask the millennials to move into it? And I think the conversation is generally not about money, it's about availability. Well, hold it. So if we're going to do that, the product that's available, the homes that are available, are even less meeting that criteria, right? So if we're looking for homes that either have an apartment in it, right? Because generally these are adult children and then boomers, of course. They're looking for their own space. They're looking for their own whatever. So if you take a look at the 25 that came on the market, which I haven't, I can assure you there's probably less than a handful that meet that criteria. So this is just going to be a lot of education. The conversations we're having with these 12 buyers are, look, from my perspective, if you can find the right house, let's buy it, right? But finding the right house that meets the 6 criteria we talk about all the time takes a little.
Maybe that's the problem, is the punch list needs to be potentially whittled down a little bit.
Punch list, look at that. Yeah, so that's
checklist.
Well, so it's you're 100% right. So the buyers, so every one of these 12 that we've had that reached out to us in the last 7 days on it, again, want all the same thing. They want the condition to be perfect. So what they're telling me is, I want the right location, I want the right price, I want the right features, and I want the right condition. And as far as timing goes, I'm willing to wait for it. Okay, if you're going to wait for it, that's not a problem. More buyers are going to come in the market as more inventory comes in the market. Plus, the price is going to go up because we're going to see an acceleration in price. We may not see double digits, but we're sure as heck going to see increase in price on it. So the thing is should we wait? But every one of them want to move in something. At least the ones that we have don't want to do any work.
Oof.
Well, think about it.
No, I totally understand.
I'm paying premium dollar.
That may not exist.
So this is a matter of relationships, right? ABC, always being communication.
Yeah.
That's why the buyer's agent is so important about communicating and working the buyer through their expectation list. And you have to help them guide through it. Again, this is what my brain is turning about our conversation with Johnny, because I'm really trying to figure out how I can best help the Hispanic buyer. The problem is I don't speak Spanish, but help the Hispanic buyer, because it's a matter of education,
right?
And helping them understand it's okay, right? It's okay to trust the system. Look, I'll be honest with you. We talk about this on the show all the time. We lost everything had from 2008 to 2010, right? I don't keep a lot of money in the bank, because guess what they did when things went bad? They took everything out of our accounts. So I get that understanding of it. We keep our money tied up in different places.
Oh,
yeah.
You know a guy?
I know a guy. It's under your mattress, right?
Well, you hope not.
Yeah, well, if it is, it ain't there.
You hope not.
But yeah, so I can have this conversation about that. I've also lived under communism, where I understand what it's like for these entities to have this control over you. But it's okay to trust the system. They don't have a lot of reason to trust it. They've been kind of kicked around quite a bit, so I appreciate that. But I want to figure out a way that I can truly help and give back. And this church thing is a great freaking idea. So thank you, Johnny, for that. I just you might not want to stand next to me when the lightning bolts start.
Well, no, you should go. Oh, come on.
Start hitting.
You should go to the church.
I don't know. It's mostly Catholic, and I'm Catholic, and I can't tell you the last time I went to confession. So
Woody Fincham, hello.
Hey, Woody.
Gary Palmer, hello. Vanessa Parkhill, James Watson, Kevin Higgins, Jamie Turner, Lisa Costello, hello. Welcome to the show. Georgia Gilmer, Ray Cadell, Johnny, Betsy, great to see you. Trevor Knight,
Johnny,
hello.
thanks for coming
Nelson,
in, man.
John Neal, Jesse Rutherford, Mr. DL, Patty Rowe, welcome to the broadcast. Seth Liskey, great to see you this morning. Liza, Tyler, welcome to the broadcast.
30% off the same week. That's just blowing my mind.
Give them the stat again.
So last 7 days in our car footprint, only 25 homes came on the market. The same week last year, because I learned how to figure this thing out, is, hold on a second, let me make sure I get the right number in my trusty cards. Trusty cards was, hold on, Smith, 67. So we went from 64 to 25, which, according to my trusty spreadsheet that I've got here on the computer, is 30% difference.
And you still think it's a good time to list right now?
I do. Can't use the word but. Oh, by the way, Miss Yonna, Yvonne Weidel is taking a real estate exam this morning.
Oh, fantastic.
So
Good
we
luck.
need to
Yvonne.
keep our
His
fingers
daughter's
crossed.
getting in the game.
She's taking her state exam today. So anybody out there, please get some good vibes and wish her luck, because she's going to be a good one. But it's got to be in the right now. Location always matters. Micro location really matters right now. Price always matters. The right price really matters right now. And the features and conditions got to be right. So if you're hitting those three, there are buyers out there. I just had 12 of them. If there was the right house that met all their criteria, they would put contracts in it. They're just waiting for something else to happen. And the conversation that we have to have, Jerry, with them to navigate them, okay, we're at the right location, we're at the right price, we're at the right features, but let's talk about the conditions. Okay, so is it a paint job, right? Or is it a new HVAC? Is it something that we have the skills and the tools to help you through that? Or is it a full kitchen reno? Is it something else that has to be done to help the house? And I can see how at this point that would scare somebody. So we have to help navigate the conversation and help them move through the process and say, okay, look, if anything, we're very honest and direct, right? So if we don't do this now, that is cool, right? We get it, we understand it. I think if you buy this house now, there's maybe $25,000 worth of work, right? Because I'm in the business, I can pretty much ballpark something pretty close right now. If you wait 6 months, is it going to cost you $25,000 more? And oh, by the way, you might still have to put, because the product is probably not going to increase, the type of product is probably not going to increase from now. So if you're ready to do it, it's always a good time.
This one's a very good question here. Thomas Baker watching the program, and he says, for Keith, why are the homes that are on the market right now just not moving? We all check out Zillow and the various real estate apps, and it's clear the inventory is not selling.
Yeah, so...
Basically saying there's buyers, why aren't they selling?
Yeah, buying. Why aren't they buying?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I think I'm trying to explain it. I think that much like the conversation we had with Johnny, they're just a little extra level of fright. They're a little afraid to do anything right now, and they're also waiting for something to happen which they don't know what it is, right? But you're 100% right. I think and if the interest rate drops a little bit further, I think you're going to see people really coming into the market beginning of next year, definitely in January. I think the spring market, as far as activity goes, is going to be in January. So look, if you're in the market, you can afford it, and it checks all the right boxes, man, now's the time to do it. Particularly new construction, by the way. We were looking at, we have a buyer that we're working together for a new construction in Richmond. And they're offering a 5.5 30-year fixed rate. It's a 2-1 buy down, right? So it's not 5.5 for 30 years, but it's 5.5 for 2 years, and then it jumps up to 6.5 in year 3 in it. So you got about 3 years of discounted rate before your 7.25 or 7.5, whatever you are right now, kicks in. So we've got new construction buyers that are looking there, and also over here. Here's the catch: got to go into contract before the end of the year.
Right.
That's
a lot of pressure, especially when
it's
you're
a lot of
2.5 weeks.
It's a lot of pressure. We got Turkey next week.
Yeah,
right?
2 weeks for Christmas.
2
New
weeks
Year's,
for
the
Christmas.
Jewish holiday.
So to answer the question more,
I mean, Thomas follows by saying this. He goes, "It just seems like nothing is moving right now."
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now we had 59 go pending in the last 7 days, so something is moving. Homes are selling, but they're hitting this right criteria in it. We had 61 close in the last 7 days, but right now, look, I'll pull up. We can just take, say, Albemarle County, and take a look at single family detached, and take a look at what the average days on market. We're creeping up there to probably into the 20s, right? I'd imagine. I'm going to try to do this in
days on market.
Talk at the same.
I would say it's at 20, if flirting with 20, if not eclipse 20.
Well, I'm going to try to do
and,
this.
and as you get into the more expensive, the higher price points and closer to jumbo, it's getting longer in the tooth.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, you got stuff that's that's surpassed the jumbo market. What's jumbo? 724, 726.
Yeah,
that is, flirting with a month and change.
Well, we're going to actually look at that here in a minute. So as you
Let's see,
talking,
the jumbo threshold, I think that's right, 726, 724, somewhere in that limit. Obviously, it's dependent by state. Comments are coming in. I see them. I will get to them, guys. We're picking up the pace and tempo for you. I know you guys like when we do that.
Yep.
Here on Real Talk with Keith Smith. If you have some questions, put them in
Smith's
the
a little
feed.
slow.
No, you're not slow.
Look at that. Look how close.
You need a pace setter.
Look, I need a pace setter.
Yeah.
I need somebody to pace
Yeah, you
Smith.
need a pace setter.
It's much like when I do a bike ride, right?
Yeah.
I need a pace setter.
Yeah.
I need somebody. Well, what I really need is somebody about 20 years younger than me to cut the wind in front of me and to go ahead and pull it. I tell you, it was cold this morning. I froze my you-know-what off this morning. So it's interesting. Single-family detached, no new construction, active in Albemarle County. So this is everything that's active, ranging from a low of 229, which I'd love to know where that is, to a high of 4.2 million on it. But the median days on market are 19. These are active, which I was close. I said about 20. Average is at 38. But if you go back to a couple of shows, we were showing what the median average is. We had a slide for that. We have to hit about 43 to 48 days on average to kind of get to the average over the last 20 years, and we're only at 20. Here's the deal: 20 to 5 is a huge jump, and that's what everybody's seeing. When something's on the market for 20,
That's a 4x jump.
That's a 4x jump, right?
Now do the 700 plus days on market. If
You don't want to see that.
$700,000 is the threshold. What's the DOM?
So 700 is the.
Yeah, let's just say let's go with the jumbo market here, because that's a different loan product.
Is it very
viewers
different?
and listeners watching
Very
the program?
different.
726,200. So I was right. 726,200.
So there's 11 available.
There's more than 11 available. And you're saying Albemarle County only?
Albemarle County only.
Okay.
I'm dealing with that because otherwise I got to get to a different shit. So we're just dealing with Albemarle County single family detached, right? No new construction. There's 11 ranging from a low of 850. So there's not even one for 750 available, because I put 750 and up. Didn't tweak any acreages and like that. Median is 20. Average is 57. So the average, so the average across the board was in the 80s, if I remember the slide right. And I'll have to dig one up and take a look at it here real quick to make sure I'm doing it. But you can see stuff 750 and over is getting close.
And you're not including new construction in that?
Not new construction.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 11. I'll double check it.
Yeah.
Make sure I've done it right.
And
all active detached Albemarle County. No new construction. There's 11 homes available. This is all active, 11 homes.
Okay, yeah. I guess there's just a lot of proposed product in the pipeline. There are a lot of paper houses.
If you add new construction in it, that number jumps up. But I typically try to pull that out.
Do you think it's the folks that are in that price point not realistic on price?
I just think $750,000 jumbo loan at 7.5% is an expensive loan, and typically, that particular buyer.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, why would you list at this time when this is what's happening? It's always gets back to price, right?
Well, it only takes one buyer, right? And I will, look, Jerry, I will tell you. We've had this conversation with a couple of listers that we're talking to right now. When you sell between now and the beginning of the year, that buyer is real, ready to go, ready to close, has done their homework, and they are pretty much a rock solid buyer at that particular point. So if you're listing, if you have to list now to sell, again, most people that are selling right now have to sell, right? So if you have to sell, getting it on the market on it, I understand that the thinking is well, if we're not going to sell before the end of the year and we're at 11/20.
Because it's not going to happen before the end of the year now.
A cash deal, a cash deal. If I put something on the contract tomorrow,
a loan deal. It's not going to close between now.
No.
With the holidays, I think that's a push and a stretch.
Well,
that's going to be really tight.
Well, if there's some loan officers watching, I'll bet you any amount of money they'll tell you that they can close it because appraisals are happening in a week now instead of 2 or 3 weeks.
You're saying a home someone sees right now goes under contract. You're saying you're willing to bet that a loan deal, a non-cash deal, can close before the 31st close of business?
I think so, but it has to be in the next couple of days. That puts us at about a month.
Close on Thanksgiving Day.
No.
Or under contract on Thanksgiving Day.
You need to be under contract by the end of this weekend to close. Now, some loan officers will tell you they can do it in 2 weeks. Some loan officers, they can tell you can do it in 3 weeks. That may be the loan officer.
Right.
Now you need to have a conversation
with your home inspector,
with
your appraiser.
With the the loan officer is probably got. I think appraisers are turning around. That'd be a great question for Woody. But I think appraisers now are turning stuff around a lot faster than they used to. I mean, they're not. They're other than Woody Fincham, most of them are not as busy as they are now because look, we're 63% down in sales since 2020 on it. So I think you could, if we wrote a deal somewhere between now and Sunday to close before the end of the year, we could do that. New construction definitively, because they want to make it happen before the end of the year. And a lot of people don't know when you use these programs, you have to work with their preferred lender. You have to work with their preferred closing company. A lot of folks don't know that.
This is a great follow-up question from Laura, who's watching the program, and she says, does Keith expect price cuts on these homes that have been staying on the market for a long period? Or does he expect them just to be pulled off the market and then repositioned in the spring market?
Maybe yes, maybe no yes. The second half is probably more than likely than the first half.
They're just going to pull them off and then put them back on.
Yeah, so what you would see is...
Because I would imagine some listing agreements are getting close to expiration.
It depends on when you start, right?
Yeah. What's the standard listing agreement?
Oh, we usually do it for 6 months.
You do
it's just
6
a
months?
standard
Okay.
kind of 6 months. But it's negotiable, right? It's whatever is working between the seller and all that stuff. So here's the deal. If it's vacant, I don't think you're going to see them come off. Right? If it's vacant, you're just going to leave it there, right?
And let it get long in the tooth?
There's little tricks on the trade. You can take it off the market and redo it.
But Zillow and
they pick it up.
The Zillow and Realtor apps don't reset the DOM.
They don't. But look.
And that's what people are checking.
Yeah. most.
I know that happens with the MLS, but most folks are using Zillow. That
Well,
does
if you
not
look at
reset
the
deal up.
MLS, right, it has total and whatever. So, look, I think at this point, between now and the end of the year, DOMs is really not going to matter, right? Because everybody, if there's a buyer out there to buy the home that it's in the right location, price, features, and condition, days on market really is going to make a difference because it's slow, right? Everybody understands it's slow. I think we're back to a normal Christmas cycle, generally between the beginning of November, first couple weeks of November for sure, to somewhere around the end of January, mid-January. Everybody kind of typically takes a pause. Back to the vacant and non-vacant, right? So if right now, if the home is occupied, more than likely, they're going to say, okay, and they don't have to sell. I mean, they're not in an urgent that I got to get a contract tomorrow on the home. Pull it off, enjoy the holidays, put it back on.
I think that's good update. And when would you put it back on?
Right now, I put it back to after the first, immediately after the first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there is no spring market anymore. I think COVID fixed that.
And you don't think we're going back to a traditional market where we're going to be, you don't think so?
If the phone calls I've received in the last 7 days is any indication of it, and these conversations are okay, interest rates are flat,
Yeah.
going down a little bit. We talked about this. Okay, let's see what's out there. And if I find something that checks all my 6 or 10 or 12 boxes, we'll jump on it. If not, then we're just gonna wait. And then we start having conversations, and 9 times out of 10, over time, their priorities change a little bit, and then we kind of relook at it. But at the moment, all our buyers that we're dealing with, we're kind of getting back to where it used to be, where you would spend months, if not sometimes a couple of years, helping buyers through the process. I told you last show we had a thank you from this neurosurgeon, brain doctor, that he was going to wait, and I kind of through conversation, I don't want to use the word convinced. But he came to the conclusion, maybe we ought to do this. And he was super thankful because he was at just around 6.25 on his 30 year. And the house that he bought, there's some homes that recently closed in the area that were substantially higher, same particular home that he had. So we saved him on the mortgage, and we saved him on the purchase price. Now, he was ready, willing, and able to do it, right? And he made the decision to pull it. We helped guide him through the process, but he ultimately made the decision to go ahead and pull the trigger. So, if there's a home out there of our meager 25 that just popped up this week, this may be the time to do it.
Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners, dropping dimes and knowledge today on this program. Johnny Ornelas was fantastic.
Yeah, Johnny was great, and Johnny, thank you for coming in and
especially when I'm a little late with the board meeting today.
And helping. It was funny. I was telling Judah, it's kind of weird. I'm coming off a couple of boards.
I know. Well, it's the board for the building.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Well, you are the board.
Yeah. Right.
So 11:27.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming in and saving my butt on the second half of the.
Our pleasure.
Second half of the show.
And I saw the agents jump in when we started doing that back and forth right there, which was a pleasure, guys. And I'm always excited when the agents watch the property, watch the show.
So Wednesday,
yeah,
we're
thankful for.
That's exactly what we're gonna focus on. So anybody who's watching or listening, it'll be Jerry and I, what we're thankful for. We may be having some headgear on. That's
very nice.
A little bit different than what we normally wear. But,
I love wearing the headgear.
So we're gonna chat.
No spandex?
Maybe from the camera down.
Whoa! That's a topic for you and Yonna.
No. My winter biking gear is actually neoprene.
Oh, okay.
And
we need to get your daughter back on to talk about the flip book of a new agent.
We're going to do that, but I don't want to jinx her. Right?
Okay.
His
daughter's taking taking the test today, right?
She's taking it, I think, as we speak.
Fantastic. Best of luck.
So we're excited about it, but I've learned a long time ago that sometimes pushing being the helicopter dad is not a good thing.
Okay.
I
Little
learned
space.
I learned a long time ago that sometimes giving a little bit of space is a good thing, which is, I can't tell you how difficult that is for me. But, not being a helicopter dad was a struggle for me.
Keith Smith, job well done.
Thank you for
Judah
coming.
Wickhauer, job well done. Thank you for having the cameras ready. I'm Jerry Miller. This is Yes Realty Partners' finest, Keith Smith. The show is Real Talk, and it's archived online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com.
Please pull down the partner tab, help support the partners that we have on it. And on Thursday, we're going to give a little shout out and thank you to all the partners that help us do this, because without them, we wouldn't be doing it.
I love it. Thank you kindly for joining us, guys. The I Love CVille show up in 1 hour. Get ready and giddy up. So long, everybody.
Kitty,
That was fantastic. Judah, tell us when the cameras and mics are off.